Hi everyone, I'm Drunvalo Melchizedek, and we're here today for questions and answers again. And only this time we're going to do it a little differently. We're going to actually use YouTube and email questions that you've sent in so we can see the person that's asking the question. It'll be more interesting, I think. And so the first question coming up will be in just 1 second.
Hi Drunvalo, I'm Jonas from Switzerland. So first, thank you very much for the great body of knowledge and information that you provide and you share with all people all over the world. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. So I have a question in regard to human ascension to the fourth dimension. And you probably answered these questions in interviews before, but there's a point that I still don't have a good grasp on. And I love the point that you said no single soul will be lost during the phase of transition as the Christ consciousness grid is fully established and everything has been perfectly set up for the transition. Nevertheless, you stated in one of your last interviews that the Merkaba is a must-have to be able to move to the next dimension. So my question is, at which point do people which did not establish their Merkaba during their lifetime remember and develop it? Is it when they leave their physical body, when they die in the third dimension? Or do they first move on to the eighth overtone or the fourth dimension and remember and develop it there? You once said that the 8th to 10th overtone of the fourth dimension works like a melting pot, and so humankind would reunite at that level, and then we move on as one entity on our journey to, through the next dimensions. So thank you very much for elaborating this point once more, and thank you very much for all of your work.
Okay, well, thank you, Johannes. That's a multi-level question, and I realize if I did say there's something I said that he said that is not correct, and when I get there, I'll say that. But I think what I'll do is just kind of present this all over again. Right now, everything is set up. Everything is ready for ascension. If there is anything left over that we need to do, I'm not sure what it is. We're just waiting for Mother Earth to make the move to begin everything, and it's really up to her when she does that. We don't know when she's going to do that. It's really a very personal thing to her. But what happens is once this mass ascension of the planet begins, there's three, right now, there are three possibilities. One of them is that you're going to go through ascension, which is what I'm teaching out to the world right now, and that in that particular method, you understand how everything works within the body. You've connected your heart to your brain. All your beams of light are out. Your third eye is open, and you are functioning in a way that is really above normal human consciousness. And from that point of view, you can consciously die. In other words, when the moment is right, you simply connect all those things and you make a breath, a very special breath, which I used to call the 18th breath. It's a little more involved than that. And when you do that, you just simply disappear out of the room. I believe there's going to be a pretty good flash of light associated with that, and you're gone. And in so doing, you're going to go to the 12th overtone. He said the 8th, 9th, and 10th. If I said that at any time, it was a mistake, and I'm sorry. It is the 10th, 11th, and 12th overtone of the fourth dimension that we're going to enter into. And people that ascend are going to go into the 12th overtone. The other possibility is that you resurrect, and there will probably be many Christians that will choose that because that's what they've been taught. And it's another form of consciously dying, where you go from, you die, and in Jesus' point of view, he was, basically killed, And it doesn't matter how you die, whether you're run over by a truck or you're blown up or anything else. It doesn't really make any difference. You die. And when you die, on the immediately after death, there's about a period of about 2.5 days to 4 days that you have to transcend into the next level of existence, which in this case would be the 11th overtone of the fourth dimension. When you die doing that, right before you start to actually make the movement into those levels of existence, when you're no longer, you're letting go of your body, and you're making the movement into that 11th overtone of the fourth dimension, at that moment you recreate your body and bring it with you. Now, the person who does the ascension automatically does that. They'll bring their body with you. When you get into the 12th overtone, you're going to be in this body, but you're going to be in a world that you may not understand. But in the resurrection process, it is almost identical, except that you recreate your body. How can you do this? Well, the body is not what we think it is. Most humans think it's a physical thing, and that when we die, we leave it here and we go on. But that's not the case. The body actually is an image that is produced from within human consciousness. And a person who is doing resurrection knows that. That's part of their training. They understand that the body is an image, and in so doing that, they recreate it as an image, and they recreate the body exactly as it is now, and they go on. The other people, which is going to be the vast majorities of the people that are on Earth right now, what they're going to do is they're just simply going to die in the normal way. But everything has been set up in such a way that when they die, when they get to, which will be the 10th overtone of the fourth dimension, when they get there, they will then be taught, basically, how to recreate their body so that they can stay there. And it's a process that has not ever really been done before, but it's been done before in other areas of the universe before. It's not anything new, and they know exactly how to do it. I don't anticipate any problems in this at all. There may be a few, and if they are, those individuals will be taken care of easily through the higher intelligence that will be helping them through this process. There's one last area of that question that you asked, and it has to do with the Merkaba. Just to get this clear, in order to ascend, you must have your Merkaba. If you don't have that, you can't ascend. It's also true with resurrection. You must have the Merkaba knowledge and your Merkaba put around you in order to resurrect. I know the Christians don't talk about this, but Melchizedek consciousness knows that that's true. You can't make this transition without it. If you don't have your Merkaba with you, you can't do either one of those two things. But you know how to die. That's pretty easy to do. And in the dying process, when you get to the other end of all of this, there is going to be people there that are prepared for you, and they will teach you everything you need to know really fast. You can learn things there that would take years here, that could take seconds there. They will teach you everything you need to know really fast, and you will be able to remain there because of the work that they're going to do to solidify you through your Merkaba. Nobody should worry about this stuff. I mean, really, it's all covered. Do the best you can. Do the one that you're attracted to. If you feel like resurrection is the best one that you want to do that one. If you want to do ascension, do that one. If you're not sure what to do, go ahead and just die. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't make any difference. You're all going to end up on either the 10th, 11th, or 12th overtone, and then, like Johannes said, there's going to be a blending once we're all on the same page. There's going to be a blending of our race. I believe what happens is everybody moves up into the 12th overtone and prepares for a higher ascension beyond that. We're not going to stay just in the fourth dimension. We're going to move a lot further than that. It will take about, in human terms, about 2 years for us to develop far enough into the consciousness realms to be able to understand how to go on. But once we do start going on, we're going to go really fast. And this is exciting. I mean, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened here on Earth. And I personally, I can hardly wait for this to take place. Anyway, I think I answered that question. And so we'll go on to the next one. So I'm going to turn around and take a look at the screen.
Hi Drunvalo, thanks for being who you are, doing what you do. I got a couple of questions. Question one, you said after going 4D you were headed somewhere not experienced before. Is it Trinity consciousness? Question two, a channeling from Gaia some years ago talked of the manifest and unmanifest earths. Does this relate to the inner reality and outer reality? Many thanks and much love.
That's a couple pretty interesting questions. It is true that what normally happens is we go into the fourth dimension and we spend a long time there. I mean, really millions of years before we go on into the fifth dimensions or higher. This time is different because of what's going on in the entire universe, not just what's here, but what's going on everywhere. And by the way, as we make this transition into the fourth dimension, and as we make it into the fifth dimension, all the levels that are underneath us are coming up with us. We're not doing this alone. This is a universal thing that's happening all over the whole universe. But the lower levels are coming up, and to reaching into the higher levels, and from the higher levels, we're going up even higher. And so, in terms of are we going into a place we've never been before? Yes. We've been in the fourth dimension because when we die, we go into the fourth dimension, and when we resurrect, we come back from the fourth dimension back to the third to get another body so we can try this all over again and learn how to die consciously. This is the end of this whole process. And this time, we're all going to be learning how to go up higher into the fourth dimension, understand this. Eventually, we'll all end up in this one place where we will all be on the same page, at which point we're going to go into the fifth dimension. This is formlessness. We're going beyond polarity consciousness totally, and we will become the universe. There will not be an individual in the way that we think of things now. We're going to change radically to another level of existence, and we are going to continually change over 100,000 times into other levels of existence that nobody on Earth has even any idea about. I mean, maybe somebody, but definitely governments and people like this and religions don't have any idea. And we're going into much higher levels, and from there we're going to transcend into another level of existence that is outside of all knowing from where we are now. This is a huge blessing for us. So I hope that answers your question. We are going to somewhere where we definitely have never been before. If they're saying the unmanifested, the manifested and unmanifested earth, there is that, but there's many ways of looking at that. You could be talking about parallel worlds, which is an idea that science has come up with, and whether or not that is actually real from a scientific point of view, they don't know. They're still trying to understand that. But from another level, from a level that we know is true, having to do with the inner worlds and the outer worlds. Right now, science has no understanding of this at all. But the stars that we see outside of when you take the Earth, here's the Earth, and you got all these stars that go outside the Earth in all directions and goes on for infinity. That is one of the manifested Earths. But inside of the Earth is another set of stars that is identical to those that are outside here, but has different laws associated with them. And in that place, there is another Earth. And I've experienced this directly, and I know it for certain, but science has no awareness of this. And there are two planets, one that we're on now, and there is another one that appears the same, it is identical, and it is interconnected. And so I don't know if that helps you at all, but that's the best I can do to answer that question. So we're going to go to the next question.
Hi, Drunvalo. My name is Svetlana. I'm Russian, but I'm living in Britain now with my family. I have a question. In your book, The Flower of Light, you wrote about the very few reincarnations, except in exceptional cases. I've also read many articles and watched documentary. At the present time, people often reincarnate consciously, and they look exactly the same like in previous lives. Could you please explain more about this phenomenon? Thank you. I wish happiness for you and your family. Thank you.
If I understood this question properly, the sound was not real good. You're interested in how someone can reincarnate and come back and look exactly the same. Now, this does happen, and it happens quite often. When someone dies and they reincarnate and they come back, actually the very similar thing to what I was talking about just a little while ago. The body is an image. It is not real. That's true with the entire reality. All the stars and the planets and everything that we look out into in space is not actually there. It is a consciousness pattern created from within us. And when someone understands this, this is part of enlightenment. This is part of ascension also, that we are on the edge of understanding what that means. And when we do, our lives change forever. And so when someone understands that and they get into the fourth dimension, they can come back, and very often they may create the same exact image that they had before. So they look the same. There are several people I know that have done this, and it's pretty amazing. They look exactly the same. Usually, though, that isn't what happens because the people don't understand that, and they come, and when they're reincarnated back here, they just take whatever they get, and that becomes their next body. But it is very definitely possible, and not only possible, but it happens quite often. But in order for the person to do that, this is something kind of necessary to know. In order for the person to be able to recreate their body exactly the way it was in the last time, they have to have the knowledge and understanding of how that works. They have to understand that it's an image and that they can recreate it. And that usually takes a very high person, someone who has a great deal of consciousness before they're able to do something of that nature. I hope I answered your question. So let's go to the next question.
Hello, Drunvalo. My name is Jeremy. I live in Belgium, Europe. I first would like to thank you for all you give to us. It's wonderful. I have two questions. My first question is, what is the difference between the sacred space of the heart and the tiny space of the heart?
Okay, let's hold that there. The question is what is the difference between the sacred space of the heart and the tiny space of the heart? They definitely are two different regions of consciousness within the heart, and one is inside of the other. So the sacred space is bigger and it's external, and the tiny space of the heart is a smaller space that's inside of that. It's actually a toroidal field. Stanford, through heart math, was able to map that It's a magnet. There's a magnetic field that goes around the body. It's a torus. It comes from the heart. It's huge. It's about 8 to 10 feet in diameter, and that field is being generated by the sacred space of the heart. There's another toroidal field inside of that big field. There's another one that's much smaller, and that field is being generated by the tiny space of the heart. And so you can actually see by looking at what Stanford has discovered, if you look at the nature of how they are, one inside of the other, then you have a very good idea and understanding of how they are physically inside the body. When a person learns about this sacredness within themselves, and they travel and they leave their brain and they go down inside the sacred space of the heart, to get to the tiny space, they always have to pass through the sacred space first, because that's the outer field. And to get into the outer field, you have to pass into that one and then go into the tiny space, because it's contained within the outer one. And so that's the nature of the reality around our heart. And so I hope that helps to understand that. Okay, let's go to the second question he has to ask.
And my second question is, what is the difference between making a program to the Merkaba and living the whole process of creation through the tiny space of the heart? I hope you
Okay,
explain
thank you.
something.
That was a really good question. When you program the Merkaba, so you have an external field, for those of us that understand this. This is huge. It's about 55 to 60 feet in diameter, much bigger than the one we were talking about with the heart. And when you go in, as soon as that is developed around you, immediately you can begin to program the Merkaba. Programming the Merkaba is just like programming a crystal. You tell it to do something, you hold the crystal, and you look at the crystal and you tell it to do something, and it'll start doing it immediately. It won't give you a bad time and say, well, maybe I'll start tomorrow or anything else like that. It starts up instantly and it just starts doing it. Your Merkaba is also a crystal. It is a crystalline structure that's around your body. It's very geometrical forms, and they're counter-rotating. You got part of them going one way and part of them going the other way, creating this field. And when you look at your Merkaba field, or you think about it, you put your attention on it, and you ask it to do something, it will. And it will just do that function. So if you ask it to block out, say, all the Hartmann lines, energy field lines, say, that are in the earth that are negative for human beings, and you tell it to block those out, it just will block those out. That is the nature of the Merkaba. But when you talk about going into the tiny space of the heart and creating, that is an entirely, totally different thing. In there, you must have your Merkaba in order to do that, and so the person has already developed that and already understands it. But to go into the tiny space of the heart, that is where all things in existence came from. Everything that has an existence came from the tiny space of your heart, because your heart is one with all the tiny spaces of all living things that have hearts in existence. And that is where all creation came from. And so that's a whole different process. It would take a long time to explain that process, but it is a creation process. And so from there, you can create things out of nothing. Look, the CD, The Secret, that was developed and went around the world and made over $1 billion, just about. A lot of money. I don't know how much it was. It was outrageous. That gave you a way of creating from the brain, which is extremely dangerous. And anyone, even if you've learned how and you know how to do it, I tell you right now, don't do it. You're going to be sorry. Because whatever your brain is polarized, and whatever you create from your brain is going to You're going to get what you want if you understand how creating from the brain works, but you're going to get what you don't want coming back from here, and it does not make it worth it. It is a very poor way of creating. But if you create from the heart, it is a unity consciousness field. It does not create both a positive and a negative field. It only creates the positive field, and you can create from there all you want. It's okay. If you do create from the tiny space within your heart, that is a proper way of doing it, but it is not the same as creating from the Merkaba. The Merkaba doesn't create things; it just simply will do things for you. It will protect you. It will give you. It will simply do things that you want it to do for you, but that's not creating. That's just like it's like a servant or someone that is helping you. When you're creating from your heart, you are actually taking from the void and creating something that has never existed before and bringing it back out into reality. And it's a totally different thing. Science sees that's how the entire universe came out of a speck so small that cannot even be seen, and it came out of the void, and the whole universe came out of that. Now, you can continue to use that process on smaller levels if you so wish, and if you really truly understand what you're doing. Okay, let's go to the next question.
Hi, I have a question. I got a bodywork reading the other day, and I was told that I had several spirit guides that were not human, and they were Arcturian. And I can't find any information about the Arcturians. Can you give me some?
Okay. Well, the Arcturians are one of the energy fields, star systems that are connected to Earth. There are many others. The primary one is Sirius, and then the Pleiadians. These are the two that most people have a connection to. The Arcturians are a little different. They are far more advanced than the Sirians, and the Pleiadians at this moment are just learning how to go into the levels of consciousness that the Arcturians have been in for a long time. And so from this point of understanding, the Arcturians are much higher. And they don't usually work with too many people on Earth because if they're working with you, you must be a pretty advanced soul. Because the kinds of things that they're involved in they're light beings. They function from a level that we can't really discuss very much because it's outside of human understanding. Even if we did put it into words, it still wouldn't mean much. And so they are creators. Like we can say that they are creators functioning from the void that are able to create their realities as they go, second by second. Every breath that they're breathing, they are creating the entire reality. And they know it, and they're fully aware of it. And they know how to do it. So if this is true, and the reading is true, this is a great blessing to have the Arcturians work with you. So I hope that helps you. Okay, that's the end of the questions this time around, and thank you very much. But I ask you, please send more questions. We only got a few this time, and we would like to have a lot more, so we can have a better and longer show for you. Send your questions, put your questions on YouTube, and we'll take them off of there, and we'll get them from there. I've been asked to give a few announcements, and these are just some simple things for you just to understand what we're going through here and what we're trying. We're constantly working to give more and more to you all the time, and to make it better and just better for you. In the future, we're going to put foreign subtitles on these questions and answers and everything that we do video for you. We're going to begin with Spanish. That's all we can do right now. And slowly we'll work into other languages. Also, there's the conversation shows that I'm beginning to create through this filming studio. And the very first one is with Cal Garrison. And that show is now available on drunvalo.net. You can go on there to get to this. I'm going to tell you now, we have to charge a little bit for that one because of the cost of putting these things on. I'm going to give them free to you whenever I can, but some of them, a few of them that take more production and time, we will, but it'll be cheap. It'll either be $1.99 or 99 cents or something like this. Just enough money so that we could pay for the incredible costs of doing all these things. And we're also going to come up with another show. We don't know what the name is going to be yet, but it'll be a show where there's not questions and answers and it's not interviews. It's just where I will take a subject and just talk about that subject in great detail. And that's a new one where we've just thought up, and we will be doing that pretty soon. And then to give you an update on the studio, this studio is a very small studio. I can about practically reach my hands across the walls here. And but the new studio, which will be much bigger and much more sophisticated, that one is developing. We're still in the construction stage of it. It's looking now like it's going to be either toward the end of July, or maybe it might go into August a little bit. I hope not. And at which point we're going to have a much better studio than we have now, and we'll be able to give you a lot better quality of what we're doing. And it's exciting. I can hardly wait for all this to be done. Anyway, I just want to thank you guys again for everything, for all your support and all the love that you've given me and the work that we're doing. And I really, from my heart to yours, I hope that what we're doing is truly helping you and making things easier for you as the world begins to transcend to another level of existence. Okay, thank you again. Bye-bye.